is the Between Brothers podcast, where we give you real talk, authentic takes, and laughs on sports, pop culture, and life. I'm your host, the Duke of Debonair, Lando, and I got my brother, the Chance of Charisma Zero, in the building. What's going on, big dog? Catch us up. How's your week?
My week's been all right. Just sitting and prepping for when I start tomorrow. I'm gonna start the new job tomorrow. Gotta be in class for an entire week. Um but a couple of things pissed me off, and both of them things happened today. So um the where I live at got the laundry room, and I go to do some laundry. And then I turn around. Then what was it? I of course wash, go, dry, leave back out. When I come back to do, because I went and got $20 in coins in a quarter, so it was like, all right, everything should be done in this one run. I go, I go to check. Me and the kids, we walk over, go to check the laundry after it dried. Only one load was dry. I was like, and yeah, so then I come to find out, somebody let me know that the what's it called? That only two of the dryers, if they're being on, only two of the dryers actually work correctly. I was like, why y'all got maintenance people here for if they can't do maintenance on anything? It was like, come on, yo. And then the other thing that pissed me off, I watched my Jags play today, and it just seemed like neither team wanted to win. It was like just watching that game. It was like the entire time the Jags could have pulled away at any point, and it just seemed like, you know what? Let's just go ahead. Let's just go ahead and try to make this a game. It's like folks dropping passes. Yeah, folks dropping passes. Couldn't we can't run the ball. It's like we came into the even though it's only two games, we came into the game as the number one team running the ball, like averaging 169 yards a game. And I think we probably got like 80 something, maybe. But it's not like Houston's defensive line is really bad. So it's not really a surprise anyway. So, but just watching that game, it was like, it just felt as if neither team wanted to win. Stroud played bad. Lawrence started off well and then started playing bad. It was like, all I know is that our defense has really improved because last year we only had 9 takeaways total. I think we're just one turnover away from matching that in 4 games. Yeah, if we get a turnover in next week, we'll match our entire season's worth of turnovers in a quarter of a season. But it's like, but the how bad they were playing down the stretch, it was like yeah, it's like nobody wanted to win that game. But yeah, but it is what it is. We got the W. Go and we play San Francisco next week, and we don't even know who the starting quarterback is for them because Mac Jones said he reactivated his PCL sprain, and what's his name was out for 2 to 5. Purdy's out for 2 to 5 weeks, so we'll have to see.
Well, there was rumor that he could. They were thinking he could have played today, but they decided to keep him out. So most likely gonna play next week. Um, yeah. I don't know. I just think that the offensive line for the Texans is a major problem for them. And the defense is still solid. And also that Liam Cohen and them, him or his ability to turn around Trevor Lawrence, where it seemed like it was very immediate with Baker Mayfield. Maybe Trevor Lawrence ain't that good because he was still missing a lot of the same throws that he's been missing his whole career. It's like maybe it might be time to realize, like, all right, yeah, he was the first overall pick, but like many first overall picks, he's an average player. You know, I mean, Baker Mayfield's also an average player, but he has a what they call it, a moxie to him that Trevor particularly doesn't have as far as his attitude, his demeanor, and things of that nature. So, yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. So my week was fairly uneventful. Yeah, nothing really happened. I mean, I was having like some debates with white people about Charlie Kirk. Um, the I mean, that was pretty much it, really. Debates about Canelo losing because like the Mexican fans are like, oh, if Crawford really wants to prove that he's the best, he should fight David Benavidez. I'm like, but y'all were literally saying that David Benavidez hasn't done anything to deserve a fight against Canelo. So why didn't Canelo, who was in the division, who has been in the same division as Benavidez for 12, 13 fights, why didn't he have to prove that, but now Crawford does? Because you want to hope you can find somebody to beat Crawford. Then it's like, oh, if he's really that great, he'll beat Benavidez and Bivol. Why would Crawford beating Bivol do anything for his legacy when he beat Canelo? So, like, even there's this one guy, I forget, I think it's called the Boxing Voice or something. He was standing on his soapbox. Canelo's gonna win. Canelo's gonna win. Canelo's gonna win. Now he talking about Bivol. Like, what does that prove? He's done something nobody has done in the Four Bell era. That he doesn't have anything to prove anymore. If he wants to continue to prove, that's all. Crawford's the person who's in the driver's seat, just like Canelo was.
Yeah, he's the A side now.
So it's just like, what are we talking about? Like, how do we get here from there? And Canelo is like, okay, Canelo had every advantage. Canelo's the younger guy, the supposedly stronger guy, the one with the more experience, the one who beat more champions, better resume, all this stuff. And Crawford made him look like an average fighter. And now y'all like moving the goalpost. Just like Floyd, like when Floyd beat Pacquiao, I was like, oh, well, let's see how great he is. Put him up against Triple G. Why don't he move up to middleweight to fight Triple G? What? Pacquiao never moved up to middleweight. So why does Floyd got to move up to middleweight to prove himself when he's literally beating more champions than anybody in the history of boxing? Like what? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like these boxing fans, man. Canelo fans and Trump supporters are cut from the same fabric. They'll move the goalposts. They'll ignore, like you literally just ignored this man ducking David Benavidez for 2 to 3 years. And now you're like the guy who beat him in order to prove that he's the best. But here's the funny thing, and this is how I know it's a black thing. Because they never said because Bivol beat Canelo that he had to go fight somebody else in order to prove that he was the great or that he's the best. Like nobody, like I gotta put this, like though him and Beterbiev were always on a collision course because they were the two champions in the division. Nobody said, "Oh, he has to beat um, Beterbiev," or what would be equivalent would be, "Yeah, if he wants to prove he's the best, why don't he go up and fight Usyk?"
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because and it's like Canelo ducked the rematch because Bivol said, "Okay, I want the rematch. The only thing is, since my belt was on the line last time, your belts should be on the time line this time. So I'll come down to your division to fight you." And Canelo was like, "No." Canelo was like, "No, all things stay the same. Weight, money, everything."
Mm.
And Bivol was like, "No, I beat you. So I'm going to come down to your weight and you're going to pay me more money." And Canelo was like, "Nah." So the rematch never happened. But it's just like, we know why the rematch didn't never happen because he knew it was going to be more the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a guy is considering coming down to a weight that as a professional he hadn't fought at, why wouldn't you take that? You know what I'm saying? Because you talk about an 8-pound difference. Why wouldn't you take that? Like he's coming down 8 pounds. And Canelo's had the habit of putting rehydration clauses on people. So Canelo could have easily done that as well. You know, Bud fought him with no rehydration clause. Like I said, everything was lined up for Canelo to win. Where he wanted to fight, the city he wanted to fight, everything. And he still got beat. So it's like, get over yourselves. And Charlie Kirk, one person was like, "Can you show me anything racist that he said?" But I'm not, no. It's all over the internet. If you choose to ignore it, that's a you problem. I can't help you with that. Because if either you haven't seen the videos or you've seen the videos because they've been plastered all over social media and you're just ignoring it or saying, "Oh, y'all are taking it out of context." And then when you listen to the whole thing, like they say you should, it actually leads more into manipulation things of everything and gives me more context that it was just as much, it was probably more racist than he said it. You know, and people's like, "Oh, well, you just believe what you want to believe." Yeah, and guess what? The same thing goes for you if that's the case.
Mm.
You know, so it's just like, so I just, this week has shown me a level of delusion that I haven't seen all at the same time. Like it's usually one thing and then that thing fades and then another thing. Like this is simultaneous nonsense this whole week. So, but yeah, man, let's get to these topics. I mean, the NFL weekend was solid. The games are getting better. Um, Michael Penix, I was rooting for you, dog. Trash. Normally I say buns, but trash. Um, Titans, Cam Ward, trash. He did not play well. He has not played well all season. But I think part of that is the talent around him is abysmal. But because everybody's like, "Oh, Calvin Ridley should be, better and this, that, and the other." He's not. He's not. Um, who else? Who else is trash today?
Oh, Cincinnati.
No, I expected it. I mean, not necessarily the blowout, but I expected them to get beat pretty bad or how many points they gave up. But they're literally one of the worst defenses in football. They have the worst offensive line in football, one of them. and and one of the worst offensive lines in football, and they were playing with a backup quarterback against one of the best blitzing teams in football, if not the best blitzing team in football. That was like there were professional bettors saying, "Oh, like pick them +3 because the Vikings are also going in with a backup quarterback." And it's like, okay, Carson Wentz isn't a very good quarterback, but
But he's still in the league.
yeah, apparently he's not.
Well,
He's
Marcus
not a.
Mariota is still in the league, so
Yeah, it's like Carson Wentz is not a very good quarterback, but the thing that the Vikings don't have is a horrible defense and a horrible offensive line. Like I don't know how y'all got duped on them. Um, like Joe Burrow covered a multitude of sins on that team, and even he couldn't win at a high clip. So, oh, and the Raiders' offensive line, pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And people are like, oh, Genty's a bust. No, he's not. Y'all, if you think Genty's a bust, you don't know what you're looking at. Like I don't understand how you think Genty's a bust when he gets a handoff and there's two defenders standing there waiting on him like old boy from the Boondocks when Tom dropped the soap.
yeah, this is true.
You know what I'm saying? Like y'all don't know anything about football if you think that Genty's a bust. He's because like when he actually has gotten lanes, he's broken runs. 10-yard, 12-yard, 15-yard, 18-yard runs. Every time he's gotten a lane, he's made an explosive play. So I didn't do my buns list last week because I didn't watch any football, but yeah. And
Yo,
the Jets are on 3.
with the Colts being 3-0, like what's it called? When I was watching the Jags game. What's his name? Daniel Jones threw a touchdown. And the way that they were saying it, he was like, they said, "Is this Daniel Jones or Peyton Manning?" And I was like, "Hold up, did he really go off like that?" And then I looked at the numbers: 13 of 28, 223 yards, one
Bruh,
touchdown.
I literally watched most of that game and then I went back throughout the week because people was like, oh, um, somebody hit me up. He was like, oh, you got to stop calling Daniel Jones buns aplenty. Like, look at his numbers. And then I saw, like, I was watching them and I'm like, he's still an extremely below average quarterback. The Colts defense is playing much better.
And he
And
has the
Jonathan
league leading
Taylor
he has the
is
league leading rusher
playing
behind him.
out of his mind right now. He's back to the Jonathan Taylor of old.
So I think he had like what 102 or 107 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Like, what are we talking about?
It's like, what
Like, this
Peyton Manning
is,
are you talking about? You talk about the Peyton Manning
he
who
must be talking
lost his
about
defibrillator in his
Broncos
arm?
last season, the Broncos. That's what it must be. No, he's not that bad, but Dan Jones not that bad, but he's not that much better either. So it's just I don't know what's happening here. And it's not like the Titans defense is good. You know, this is you know, shout to them. Shout to the Colts for playing better. I think that putting Richardson to the bench was was the better move. I don't think they'd be playing this well if it wasn't for for that move. I think Daniel Jones was the better option because his experience and things of that nature. But um, he's still not good. He's still not good. But yeah, all right. All right, let's get into some of these topics here. All right, so young man in Mississippi Demartravion Reed, a 21-year-old student at Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi, was found hanging from a tree. The ruling was there was no foul play. Now, there's been some conflicting reports, but from what I've seen, because they said that like he had broken bones, like broken legs and things of that nature. Um, from what I've seen, diving deeper into the research, that was supposedly an internet rumor that wasn't necessarily true. At the end of the day, I'm not saying black people don't hang themselves. But what I am saying is hanging themselves in a public park from a tree is generally not something black people do.
You said the broken bones was a conflicting story, or
Yeah,
was
the autopsy, the toxicology report hasn't come out yet, but the autopsy so far said that he had no broken bones.
okay?
But if you want to put your conspiracy tinfoil hat on, that could be a lie, covered up by you know like it wouldn't be the first time someone's been lynched in Mississippi and no one saw any foul play.
Yeah,
So it's like I remember Charlie Kirk said they need to bring back public executions. And then of course he was publicly executed. But I was trying to think of it. Other than lynchings in US history, has there been any other public executions?
in U.S. history,
Yeah, just I'm talking about the US in general.
not that I know of,
Maybe
unless
the Salem witch trials, then they burned them
yeah,
publicly.
and unless was death by firing squad?
I don't think that was. I mean, like technically, like the lethal injection. I don't think anybody can just go see that, but I think it's fairly public though. So,
Now,
but it's
I would
not,
say
but it's
lethal
not like,
injection. I would say
but
lethal
it's not
injection.
like true public. It's not true public, execution. But I think like people who aren't related to the case can go view it, which is sick if you do.
Yeah, it's like that's your favorite pastime.
Yeah. Like, yeah, man, I love watching criminals die. Like, what?
Yeah, that weirded me out if somebody really said that shit.
Oh, no, I can't say that. Unalived. Unalived. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that situation? There was like another person who was found hanging not too far away. So people were like, could this possibly be a serial killer? I personally, just because serial killers usually stick to a type, and this person, you go from a young black male to a older, I mean, he was like in his mid-30s,
Yeah,
white
older white
male.
guy.
Yeah, I'm not buying that conspiracy. But what do you think?
Yeah, it's just things that just don't add up. Like the fact that somebody at a public university can get hung and nobody see anything happen is doesn't make any sense to me. But and when you say no foul play, Like, how exactly would you determine that? Like, does there have to be bodily harm to the person for it to be considered foul play?
It's possible. All right, so here's the thing. Like, let's just say they're telling the truth about whether there's foul play or not. So when you consider like what does foul play look like? Generally speaking, if there's somebody who was attacked by, let's say a mob of white people and then lynched, you would see drag marks, you would see some kind of resistance, defensive wounds. If he didn't have any of those, then yeah, there is no sign of foul play. Now, if when the toxicology report comes back, if it shows that he was heavily drugged, then that would explain a portion of it. But then, if you're heavily drugged, let's say in a sedated state, you would still get some of those things like drag marks and his body was transported there, that he didn't just arrive there on his own.
Gotcha.
Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I just saying like this is not common for bros. Like bros don't hang themselves from trees. It's just not a thing.
Yeah, because I was also thinking it might be. I was thinking it might be the serial killer thing, but like you said, there isn't a pattern. Like the only pattern that matches is the hanging. Nothing else about nothing else about it matches. Like you said, it's not the same. It's like the folk, yeah, the men who were hung weren't the same age. They weren't the same ethnicity. It's like, those things don't add up unless it's well, I don't even want to say that it's trying to throw folks off. Yeah, try to trying to throw the scent off the dogs for the real motive here. I don't know if it'll be that sort of thing. To like, but yeah, that's not something that I would even think. And the timing is bad too. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, because it's Delta State HBCU or no?
Let me see.
Because yeah, because I don't know how far west or the farthest west HBCUs actually go. I thought the furthest west was like Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all over the South.
Yeah, so yeah, something just don't yeah, something don't add up, and it almost feels as if somebody's hiding something. They don't want.
No, it's not an HBCU.
Okay. But yeah, that shit don't add up. It's like because it was like Charlie Kirk dies, then folks want to start threatening black schools even though we had nothing to do with the shit. And then a black kid dies at a university and gets hung. Get basically yeah, it gets well, I don't want to say lynched because I think lynching is like a whole different like the hanging part is there, but I think it's a whole lot more to it when it's considered lynching versus getting hung.
I don't think so. I think it's all the same.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
I mean, at the end of the day, the end result is the hanging.
yeah, it's like it doesn't make any sort of sense. And yeah, if it was like, and it was somebody like, let's just say like if the guy who was killed, if he was going through a depressive state, I really don't think that he would want to put himself. I don't really think, even though if he planned on taking his own life, I'm not pretty sure he wouldn't want to put himself on public display for everybody to see.
Yeah. So the definition of lynching is it's usually done by a mob of people
Mm,
and carried out without any legal trial or due process. So the hanging portion of it is the only thing that's the hanging, hanging someone and or you're killing someone through hanging in by a mob or a group of people.
okay,
Pretty much, or it seems like are the only criteria needed to call it a lynching.
got you.
Yeah, so I mean, prayers to his family. Um, hopefully they get, they can get well with this. 'Cause it's tough, man, when somebody, um, is killed or dies so abruptly, especially at that young of an age. And it's not something that you're ever expecting.
And especially with the magnitude of how the nation is going as well, that shit really throws a lot of things off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's why it's getting public perception or attention right now. But I don't think the family is really thinking that much about that portion of it. But I heard that they hired Colin Kaepernick's foundation to do an independent autopsy to make sure that what
Got
they
you.
find, what the coroner's office found was legitimate. So, as far as our listeners or watchers, for those who are seeing this on YouTube, if you ever, we'll update that as we get more information. But yeah, so we got to talk about two clowns today. So you want to go sports or hip hop?
Uh, let's go. Let's go sports because the hip hop one is.
All right, Pat Beverly. So we've talked about Pat Beverly on this podcast, and that his podcast is lame or dull or boring or yeah, it's not a very good podcast. And you're talking about the sports podcast realm, um, at least to us. At least to us. I mean, clearly people do watch the podcast, or enough people watch the podcast. I don't know how many followers or subscribers he had to his podcast, but I have seen clips from Pat Beverly's podcast, and I have never once watched one and thought that it had any entertainment value. So, with that being said, he talks about the All Stars, and he says like they don't um, respect the game, which, to be honest, I can understand what he means by that. Like, especially like when he's his perspective, he had to bust his behind so hard to get to the NBA. He thinks that if he was able to get into an All Star break, as an All Star game competitor, that he would take the game more serious. And that's admirable. And again, and I'm somebody who thinks that the All Star game should not just be what it is. I think it should, again, it doesn't have to be like intense competition, but it should look like a pickup basketball game. Like, let's just be like, I watch pickup basketball at times at the gym. that I go to. Them dudes ain't, not everybody's guarding, but it looks like a basketball game. And the All-Star break, the All-Star game itself does not look like a basketball. It looks like an alley-oop and three-pointer contest. And we already had that the day before. So we don't need it again. And so, that being said, Trae Young says, hey, let us talk about that. Like, calm down. Now, Patrick Beverly then goes at Trae Young. To be honest, even though I'm not on his side, I can see why he went at him. Because if I would have seen that tweet as a Pat Beverly guy, like if I'm Pat Beverly, I'm like, I know bro ain't telling me simmer down, you non-all-star appearing ass bum. You never been here, dog. Don't talk about us. You've never been here. You've never been here. And so I can understand where he's like, yo, no, you ain't about to talk about me like that. Like, yeah, you non-all-star, simmer down. Like, no, you ain't about to. So I understand, as somebody with an ego, why Pat Beverly took it the way that he took it. But then he started saying things that just didn't make sense.
That nigga said he left a mark.
The only mark you left was a doo-doo stain. He thinks he's made an impact on winning with no championships. This dude literally said if he was on the Lakers in an off season, and somehow, I don't know, I'm glad the Bucks has sold the team. Maybe they'll have somebody competent there. Because they allowed an influencer to convince them to pick Lonzo Ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they allowed Pat Bev to podcast his way on their roster. And he was like, yeah, if I was in there, they would have won a championship. They then proceed to have the worst start that they had since LeBron has been there.
Yo.
I don't know if that's true. The NBA has. Let me know if that's true. But, and Lakers fans specifically, because I know y'all know. But he proceeds to get dealt before the All-Star break because of his poor play. And now he's become a who he played for player and a who he podcast for podcaster. I am not going to act like I am a fan of Patrick Beverly. Not I have ever been. And it's not because he doesn't put up buckets. I love defensive guys. He's just not one of them. I loved Iman Shumpert. I loved Tony Allen. Matter of fact, both of them have podcasts, or I don't think Shumpert has a podcast, but both of them are on podcasts and they are entertaining, unlike Patrick Beverly.
Boy, this is out the mud.
So yeah, like I like defensive guys. One of my favorite players, matter of fact, I had his jersey, Andre Kirilenko. Andre Kirilenko is my favorite, one of my top 3 favorite Caucasian players of all time. For all y'all who think I just hate on European players. AK-47 is up there, okay? And he has the greatest jersey name combo of all time. And he's Russian. This is excellent. Now, Paul George tried it too. It just, you know what I'm saying? He would change his number and went to PG-13 and he played exactly like that. Tame. with a little bit of spice to it. Every once in a while, you get a kick out of it. Every once in a while, they say a bad word, but you know.
They're permitted to be able to hit one or two, but that's their limit.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, Trae Young checks back. It's like, hey, this is the things that you've done. These are the things that I've done. Then I found out, or I don't know how real this statistic is, but I heard, because he said, anytime we've been on the court together, I've never been scared of you. Like, I've never been worried about you. And I was listening to Jeff Teague's podcast, and they said that he averaged 28, 11, and 4 against Patrick Beverly. I don't know how true that stat is. I'm assuming they did their research. But even Teague was like, bro, like, if you talking trash to like me or Brandon Jennings, because we were all kind of like the same level of player in the NBA. This dude is a multi-time All-Star.
Yo,
And
because
I,
he was sitting,
good.
because he was sitting here talking like, like he's like, you don't know what it's like to be in any adversity, and it's like he was like, you be lucky. I think he said he'd be lucky to even like with a European team even pick you up. And because I was watching, because I wanted to finish it, but I was watching Legend of Winning's um, reaction to Pat Bev's response, and he was like, you do understand the reason why you had to go overseas because you weren't good enough to get to the NBA. He's like, you weren't good enough. He said Trey Young was so good at basketball that he did not have to go the same route that you did.
You know what? I'm curious about that just because I've heard that there's politics to get into certain colleges and certain leagues. Like there's guys who are really good players, but the AAU coach or the high school coach just don't push them the way that they should push them. Because I just find it hard to believe that somebody like Patrick Beverly, who averaged 30 something in high school, wasn't good enough to get into the league. In one of the best high school districts in the country, like out of Chicago. So I'm
I
like,
know
how
he
did we
went
go?
to.
Go ahead.
I know he went to Arkansas. Yeah, I know he went to Arkansas.
Maybe he was like Rodman. You know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of people don't know, like, Rodman's averaging like 28 in college. And
Yeah, but Rodman went to a college that probably don't even exist anymore.
28 is 28, dog. Like, because, and then even though you might not be playing the same level of competition,
Mm,
like, dudes averaging, 28 points a game, it's tough.
yeah.
Like you gotta be a bucket getter to get you talk about, you know, 10 to 10 to 14 buckets a game. It's like that's like, that it sounds easy when like when you think about, hey, we play to 16, and I might score 13 of our 16 in pickup basketball. But it's like, yeah, but you got all day to do it. It's timed, and you're not going up. You're not going up against, even if they're not as good. You're not going up against guys who are on average 6'6" plus. So which makes scoring more difficult because you're going against bigger guys or whatever. So I mean, like Pat Bev just don't. Here's the issue with everything, because like everybody's like, which I agree, Pat Beverly should not be talking about how the All Stars are handling the All Star game because he's never been that. Like if Jeff Teague would have said that, it would have been something different because at least he's been there to be like, oh yeah, those guys weren't taking it serious, you know. But then on the other hand, the Pat Beverleys of the world are the guys who are probably the most qualified to talk about sports because they've made it, but they weren't that good in the league. So it's like, all right, you did enough to make it, but you didn't do enough to be a superstar. So you know the grind of not only getting to the NBA, but like a Pat Beverly, like a Kendrick Perkins, staying in the NBA. That's a whole nother level. Like there's guys, Ben Simmons was still getting offers from other teams, even though he's been abysmal his entire career. And I do not care what any of y'all say about his couple times that he went to the All-Star game. He was not good. I don't care what any of y'all say. I watch basketball too. I never was impressed by anything Ben Simmons did. So, like, yeah, I don't know. He's probably the best person to, because it's like, yeah, it's like those guys are usually the first people gone out the league. Guys like Patrick Beverly, guys like Kendrick Perkins, you know. So it's like, hey, because he was an undrafted guy, like they're the most easily replaceable players. So maybe so he's probably the most qualified to talk about basketball in that sense. But the great American philosopher Zero once said, dudes talking about championships, but never made it to the playoffs. So like, you
No,
talking about
not
all
it.
stars.
It was um do I think it was niggas be talking championships. I think it was basically the same thing. Niggas be talking about championships who never made it to the playoffs. No, it's absolutely true. It's like niggas be talking all that championship talk and they've never been anywhere in life.
Yeah, but like when you come out saying like, "Oh, yeah, I've been to the playoffs," you was riding, and then what's his name had to tell like, "Oh, you was riding LeBron's coattails, Giannis's coattails, KD's coattails, Westbrook's coattails. Like you was never that dude on any team. So why are you trying to act as such?" And we all know, and he knows that there's levels to that. He knows that he knows no, like when it comes to the greatest versus the non-greats, the role players, the greatest players are always in the measured by how many championships they've won. The players who ain't the greatest, you're forgotten about 2 years after you get out the league. Except if you played a long time with a one team and those diehard fans remember you. The John Starks of the world, the Rick Smiths of the world. The Craig Hodges of the world. You know, so it's just like, yeah, those guys they're gonna be forgotten unless they do podcasts. You know, so and then, you know, every time you hear about these guys or like these role players, you know, Microwave Johnson, they ain't really asking him a whole lot about him. They asking about all the guys he went up against. He got asked more questions about Michael Jordan than he did himself, and Hakeem Olajuwon than he did himself. At least when I saw him on All the Smoke, or at least the clips. I never watched the whole thing. But like all even if they did put out all that content, like and it was mostly about him, they know that they ain't nobody wanted to hear about all that.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that they clipped up was the stuff that had the big name players, the stories that he was talking about with the big name players. So, Um, Trae Young handled it with class, with elegance that I don't have. And good for him. I heard that Pat Bev responded and he was like, oh, so you can't be criticized? You didn't criticize Trae Young specifically initially. You criticized all the guys who've gone to the All-Star game. And even Kevin Durant was like, bro, you tripping. And anybody who makes me agree with Kevin Durant, I instantly hate you. So Pat Bev got to hold this out. What do you think, Zero? What are your thoughts?
So yeah, Pat, I understand you may have been in your feelings about, like I said before, when it comes to folks like him, it's like, you know, like he's the type of person that you just be like, you just ignore him and move on with your life. Like, what's it called? Like, there's no winning with him. There's no reason for you to argue. It's like there's no reason to argue with somebody who's looking to argue. So it's like I understand, like you said, with Pat, like folks like him who who if it was anybody else, they would have been out of the league in a year or two. But you could probably say he technically is right about making a mark. It's just that his mark isn't what is overblown because, like Trey said, it's like y'all won a playing game and y'all were jumping on the scores table as if y'all won the finals. It was like you won a playing game to get into the playoffs and ended up getting taken out in the first round. It's like Lowe was talking about how every time Pat Beverly was on a team, when they either took him off the team or they put him on the bench, the team played considerably better. It's like you're not like you got to know just because now he is right about criticism because all superstars get criticized. That all stars and superstars get criticized. It's like there's somebody's gonna criticize him for something. I get it, but dog, you like you got to know when to sit this one out because you're giving your opinion on, like he said, yeah, you're giving your opinion on something nobody asked you. Nobody asked you for it. This is the Dave Chappelle joke with Ja Rule. It's like when they started talking about when he's talking about the All Star game, or when it was like when Dave Chappelle said that when something happens, ain't nobody saying, "Yo, we got to get in contact with Ja Rule to see so he can make sense of this." Nobody's asking for Pat Bev to make sense of this. Nobody cares. I completely forgot Pat Bev still had a podcast until this situation popped up.
Yeah.
So it's like nobody's checking for you. Like, what's it called? This one gets me mad about Trey Young. She's like, you get Trey Young, you gave him life. You didn't have to respond to him. It's like he could have kept him buried. You gave him life. Now he back in the public eye. There was no reason for you to put him back in the public eye. Or to read off his stats. We know how bad his stats are.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't need to go through all that. Like when you were recording and you were comparing your stats to his, when you said how much he averaged, and then you asked yourself, "Why am I doing this?" and walked off, that should have been the end of the video. The best thing you did that you could have done in that entire video was walk the fuck away. When you ask yourself, "Why the fuck am I doing this?" That should have been the end. Because why are you doing this? It's like it's Pat Beverly. There's no reason for you to have to. There's no reason for you to have to do all of that. Like none, because Pat Beverly is gonna do what Pat Beverly does. Like he's gonna make himself more important than what he actually is. All you did was it's like the only thing you did was give him content. Like no reason for you to bring him back to life. He could have stayed in the ditch that he was in. You should have just
Yeah.
ended you should have just ended the video there. It's like, why the fuck am I doing this? Yeah. Cut. Turn off the camera. We good. It's like you wasted words on a nigga that says shit that nobody care about. The most popular person on his podcast is the battle rapper Ron. He don't even battle rap anymore.
Well, he's definitely not the most popular person on that podcast. I never knew who he was till you just said it. So,
Because Pat Beverly is like the only time Pat Beverly is entertaining is when he's crashing out. He's like y'all seen the clips. He can't even tell a story right. It's like that was like his every story he tell about the NBA is one run on sentence. Nobody wants to listen to that nigga. No, we good. That's all I gotta say about that shit. Man. He should have just cut the camera off when he started reading off his stats. What the fuck am I doing? I'm talking to a guy who should be the ninth man off the bench. What the fuck am I doing?
yeah, yeah. So, moral of the story is sit down, Pat. All right, let's go to the other dummy.
Oh jeez.
I can't think of an interview he's ever done in which I was like, that guy sounds like he's making sense. And that is Dame Dash or Det Dash, according to Charlemagne. And
Yeah.
I was looking at comments and people was like, oh, man, uh, Dame, Dame killed Charlemagne when he called him Count Dumula.
You're lying. He called him Count Dumula. And you said he could. Yo, Charlemagne was roasting this man the
He
entire.
called him Squinting Tarantino.
I beg your pardon?
I'm like, bruh. And people were like literally putting that in the comments with rolling on the floor laughing emojis. And I
See,
was
no,
like,
the
I,
people that were doing that were the ones who got bullied in school.
I was like, this is probably, and then he was like, kept calling Charlemagne a girl, but you were going, and then he said, I don't care about what girls have to say. But every time he had a question, he would ask one of the women. And then he said he don't keep dudes around him because, it was Jesus had 12 disciples and they betrayed him, which the ones who betrayed him, there was one who betrayed him and one who denied him. So I don't know what you're talking about. And he was talking about, in one hand, how much money he got, but on the other hand, that he ain't got no money. And I'm like, what's happening here? I don't know I'm like, you sound stupid. That's what you sound like. You sound like an idiot. And I'm like, then he's talking about chatty patties, even though he's talking about somebody, he's like, he interrupts his OG to tell him to talk about somebody else's business. And I'm like, then this guy says, I'm going to set some boundaries here, and then proceeds to ask questions. And as soon as someone tries to answer the question, he'll say, you're cutting me off. All you're doing is rambling. That's all you're doing. And I'm like, bro, I'm really sick of this dude. Have nobody who you came up with is doing anything with you anymore. Apparently, your own children don't even like you. But for some reason, you think you're a boss. Then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm Cam's boss now because I'm chairman of Revolt. Come to find out, Cam doesn't even work for Revolt. He has a licensing deal with them. Then everybody's like, then everybody from Revolt is like, you're not chairman of Revolt. And except for saying, I'm going to sue Revolt, he says, I'm going to sue the Breakfast Club for stuff he said on their show. Like, and then I'm like, this guy is like, there's something wrong with him. Then he says he filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And then he says, if you're a billionaire and you get $180 million loan, are you rich or are you broke? And then he says you're broke if you owe somebody $180 million, which doesn't even make sense because he was saying that he filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which means you had loans or debts. So he was saying, like, having a debt makes you broke, but you can't file bankruptcy unless you have debts. I remember I was going through financial troubles years ago. And my homeboy was like, hey, man, see if you can file for bankruptcy. You know, everything be written off. A couple years, after a few months, you clean. I had a lawyer up. Bro was like, look, you got some debt. It ain't that deep, dog. Like the debt that you got, like set up a payment plan, figure it out. Because your debt isn't enough for it to be worth a bankruptcy. I understand you feel like you're underwater and this and the other, but he was like, this is manageable. He's like, for real, unless you got 50, 60, 100K in debt, you don't really need to do bankruptcy. And so I was like, okay, bet. And which he was right. You know, once I, was able to make more money and things of that nature and handle certain things, the debt dwindled down. So it's just like, so he has an insurmountable amount of debt because he filed for bankruptcy. And part of it was, taxes, he said, some about 20 some $1 million in taxes or whatever. And it's not that, I don't think, and they said that his bankruptcy is a fraudulent bankruptcy. And that's what the people who are trying to sue him is saying. Mm. And then so he's like, yeah, so I don't have any money. Everything is in the family trust. But then he's like, I got plenty of money. I don't have any money. I got plenty of money. My house is bigger than yours. I bet my
Whoa.
house is bigger than yours. Like anybody cares.
Like,
Nobody
how
cares how,
old are you to be talking like you still in your 20s out here?
bro.
You trying to flex?
Like I'm like, bro, like what do you? I'm like, this is why you're stupid. And like, because like Charlamagne was like, you sound smart to dumb people. You sound smart to uneducated people, and he does because when you're listening to him, you're like, this guy's contradicting himself. Because if you're a billionaire and you had $180 million loan, even if you defaulted on said loan, you'd still be a billionaire. Ask Donald Trump, in which he used Donald Trump as an example. And Charlamagne was like, he's been known to be a bad businessman. He's like, he said he's a bad businessman. He's a billionaire. Yeah, Trump has a lot of debts. Matter of fact, I met a guy years ago. This is before Trump started running for president. It was when he was rumored that he may put his name in the thing. This guy was like, I will never vote for Donald Trump. And he was like, and I'm as conservative as you can get. He was like, he was like, in New York. I worked in New York in the stock and real estate business for 45 years. He said no real estate guy likes Donald Trump. Like the big real estate guys, none of them like him. They like none of them respect him. He's like he's doing this for respect. He's doing this so people can finally respect him. That's the only reason why he wants to run. He was like, I will never. And he said he would never be president, which of course he was wrong. He's done it twice now. But he was like, he said, yeah, Donald Trump can't get a loan from any U.S. bank because he's defaulted on so many. I was like, really? He said, yeah, he gets all his money from Russia. This is before the whole Russia collusion thing, where they what's the word I'm looking for? They interfered in the election and all this stuff. This was before all of that stuff came out. This guy's like, oh yeah, he has ties with Russia. He was like, I guarantee he's gonna be so buddy with Putin if he gets elected. This dude is telling me virtually everything that happened a year and a half before Donald Trump became president. So I was like, oh, this guy, like, he was like, yeah, no, like, he was like, I know, he was like, I'm not like friends with him and I don't like know him like that. But he was like, I've met him several times, so I can say that I know him. And he was like, no, he is not a good dude. And he was like, I've been voting Republican since Reagan. He was like, he is not a good dude. He's like, I would never vote for him. He's like, I'm just gonna not vote. This is the first time in my whole adult life I'm not gonna vote. I was like, why don't you just vote for the Democrat? He was like, because Democrats don't do anything for me as far as my personal interests and my family interests are concerned. Which I was like, I mean, you should probably read up on their policies before making that decision. But
Yeah.
that's it. That was his decision. I forget the guy's name. Older white guy though. Could not stand Donald Trump. Said before, and I was like, oh, because this lady was like, oh, maybe if he's like he shouldn't be president. He should be U.S. Treasurer. And then the guy looked at her and he was like, no. Matter of fact, he'd be better off as president than U.S. Treasurer. He's horrible at money. He's like, I'm not even sure if he's truly a billionaire. He's like, it's probably because he owns so much real estate, and the loans that he's defaulted on it are worth a lot less than the real estate that he owns. Is probably why he's a billionaire. But he's like, if he's actually a billionaire, it's not because he's done good business. It's because he screwed over a lot of people. He was like, I'm not even sure if he's actually a billionaire. He was like, he has so much debt, U.S. banks don't give him money. He was like, he's a billionaire with a 500 credit score. That's literally what that dude said. He was like, he's a billionaire with a 500 credit score. He was like, he can't even get a loan from anybody. He's like, he has to get his money from overseas to do his real estate deals. He's like, difference is the Russians gonna do. He was like, Russians might do something to him if he defaults, so he's probably paying them. But he was like, he was so it's just so funny, like, now again, the guy could have been lying, but Dame Dash is just like, oh, because he's a billionaire, he must be a good businessman. But then use a billionaire with $100 million debt as a bad business person. But Trump has a lot of those. And he's like, oh, yeah, because loans. And I'm like, no, that doesn't even make sense because billionaires use loans to purchase things because loans aren't taxable.
Mm.
So they'll take loans against their assets to buy stuff. So I'm like, just reading a book or listening to a podcast about people making money moves, he should have known this. And he's somebody who's made money moves. But he's so caught up in the hood mentality, he doesn't know anything. He's still operating on the hood stuff. That's why he's like, I bet my house is bigger than yours. I got dentures with diamonds in them.
But you have dentures, though.
You have dentures that are falling out.
Yeah. I got dentures with diamonds in them. Okay.
They also had dirt in them when they fell out your mouth on that podcast.
If you try to talk smack about Cam, it's like you had to wear a fucking eye patch.
And he's talking about like, oh, you saw how I did when 30 dudes tried to jump me. Shut up. What does that mean? First of all, if you had 30 people who wanted to do harm to you, you the problem.
I think I remember that story.
I never heard that story before he said it.
Nah, it was on you wouldn't know because it was on it was an extra on I can't remember if it was the Beef or the Beef 2 DVD where where they were talking about how Dame Dash was, yeah, this dude was saying how Dame Dash was the realest because they I think they were in Paris or something, and he basically got attacked by a bunch of pimps. Yeah, he got attacked by a bunch of pimps. And it's like when he said he got hit in the head, one of them pimps hit him in the head. Like he had a really he had a scar that was still healing when he was when they did the interview. He was like one of the pimps took his cane and hit him in his head with it.
That ain't funny, man. You should not be assaulted over your words.
Yeah, like he was. Yeah, there was like, yeah, when he said when the dude told the story, Dame didn't tell the story. Dame was in the background while they were telling the story. It was like, yeah, and it was like they just started coming out of nowhere, and Dame.
Why would he get attacked by a bunch of pimps?
It had something to do with one of their women. I guess. I think. I guess the dude was talking to her, and I guess it was one of those like it's like one of those things where like the price is the price, and she got upset about it, or dude got upset about it, and yeah, it was like
Who is dude? Dude is Dane the dude?
no, I don't know. The guy wasn't the one. The dude was the one that was talking to the prostitute. Dame was just there.
And so Dane just took a blow to the head
Yeah,
from the
Dame. I
pimp.
think Dame. Dame knocked out the first pimp, and then all of a sudden, these niggas came out like the Foot Clan or some shit and started.
and, then,
But
and then they knocked the pimp juice out of his
yeah, but that was the thing. That was the thing about the
Oh man.
yeah, that was the thing about it. It was because
You
when he
want
said he
to put
got
your feet
30
on my
dudes.
rug, don't you?
Yeah, all these dudes came out like Agent Smith and Matrix Reloaded. And just started.
Yo, this dude thought he was real like in a real life Jackie Chan movie.
Yeah, so that's so when he said the 30, when he said he got jumped by 30 niggas, that's what he's talking about. When they were overseas and they got attacked by a bunch of pimps.
Then they got attacked by a bunch of Foot Clan members. They got it. Yo. Speaking of people coming out the woods, Cocoa Puff is so funny because we was watching Beat It.
Uh-huh.
Why? When dudes started coming out the sewer, she goes, "Daddy, why did they come out of there like that?" I'm like, I've watched this video 150 million times and never thought of that.
Like, why you niggas hiding?
Why
Yo,
were they in the sewers?
these niggas were, yo, they recruited mole men.
Like, why
That's
did
what they
that? Why did they do that? And then the black dude, why was his face so glistening?
Yo, that nigga was too glistening.
I'm like, bruh, man, this don't make no sense, man. They just sitting there chilling and was like, yo, it's time. And I'm like, why were they just lying in wait in the sewers waiting for Sun to walk past?
They heard three steps on the manhole cover. They said it's time.
They ain't
Yo,
been
and they strong as
so
hell because a
long.
manhole cover ain't nothing to mess with.
Bruh, bruh. Are they heavy? I've seen
Yes,
people
they are super fucking heavy.
really.
Yeah, when
I see them like I'm sure like you can't just like pull it out or whatever, like because it seems like it's pretty, well fitted in there. Like I always see when people do pull it out, they use like some kind of tool or crowbar or whatever.
no,
But
that's not what's it called. I remember working with the city when I was working with the city of Chesapeake. Um, we had to we basically had the team lift. Like three of us had to lift up the manhole cover while another guy had to pry it open with a pry bar. And then it was like even with the three of us, that shit still looked like we needed three extra. That shit felt like we needed three extra guys to
wow,
get.
is it? So how the hell did Elastigirl whip that bitch around the? I'm just saying, she pulled it around, whipped it around, and flung it at the machine board like it was nothing.
Like it was nothing. See the beauty of animation.
That's insane.
She just picked that bitch up. And you see how it took out that gun real quick too, right?
I ain't know it took 3 hours to hold that thing.
And then it was like, yo, that shit is heavy as hell.
Y'all might just miss off. Let me fill out. Let me find out
No,
how much is a manhole cover weigh. They say 90 to 150 pounds. I mean, the
that
book. No, no. I mean that's
that
heavy.
shit wasn't.
No, I mean that's heavy. Like I don't care who you are. Like to pick up like unless you like on some bodybuilding type of stuff, like to
Like
pick
Ronnie
up some,
Coleman.
yeah, to pick up something that's 150 pounds with even both hands is heavy. Like we're not, and I'm not talking about like, oh, I can bench that. Like no, that's a whole different muscle group and everything that you're using, and also you're bringing it down and all this other stuff. So yeah, could everybody possibly bench press that? Yeah, at least most adult males could do that. But have you tried to pick up off the floor a 150-pound dumbbell? And that's something concentrated. That isn't like a 3 foot long round thing
Mhm.
where how the weight is going to be distributed on that thing. So yeah, no, I can believe. I mean, I'm surprised it's a three. That does seem kind of. Oh, okay. Some There are some manhole covers that are specially fitted for heavy traffic areas that weigh 200 pounds.
Yeah, they have to be that fucking heavy. It's like that. And then one of them, I think one of the supervisors had the nerve to and say, "Hey, Lloyd, push the manhole cover back into the hole." I was like,
Bush,
"Bitch!"
how?
I
Like what?
was like,
Smashing your fingers up or something?
exactly. It's like, bitch. I was like, yo, you go. I'd much rather walk inside this Arby's and eat.
Yo, you know how horrible that has to be if you'd rather walk into Arby's?
He's like,
If you'd
which
rather
one would you?
face Arby's than a manhole cover, it's got to be devastating work. You'd rather stare down an Arby's face that manhole again. Yeah, right. That told me all I needed to know. I'll never do such labor in my life.
It's like, yo, push that manhole cover back in. I'd rather have a roast beef. Yeah. And what sucked is that we still had to go into that fucking Arby's anyway because it was lunchtime and nobody wanted to drive away. But they had a rule that you can't go more than a mile away from your from your work site.
Yeah.
And
Now, Arby's has the second best restaurant cookie. Chick-fil-A number one, Arby's number two. That's the only thing I haven't had a Arby's cookie in years because I would never pull up to that place. But when I have had them, remarkable.
yeah,
All right.
they curly fries. They had a chicken sandwich combo that I decided that I got. I was like, yo, I was like, what the fuck did they got in here? Because the fact that they say we have the meats is crazy. And then when I saw the chicken up there, I was like, look, I'd much rather eat the chicken and curly fries. And the only people that were up inside there were old white people.
Yo, every time I've been in there, it's either been empty or elderly white people. Funny thing, every time I've been to a Popeyes,
Mm,
same people, elderly white people. You hardly see black people except they're working there.
yeah.
Like in the restaurant. Now, through drive-through might be a different look. I don't know, but in the restaurant, only see elderly white people in there.
Shoot, that you said Popeyes?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, that's more so Hardee's for me.
I ain't been to Hardee's in about 10 years.
Yeah, Hardee's is
But yeah, no. But
Hardee's
when I used to go there back way back in the day, yeah.
Hardee's smells like a fixed income when
Oh,
you're
definitely,
It's like
definitely.
everybody inside here is fixed income
Yeah,
multiples.
yeah, for real. It smelled like a thrift store in fry grease. Yeah, I would say that. I would agree. I would definitely most certainly agree. Um,
Wait, you said these smells like a thrift
a
store
thrift
or
store
what?
in fry grease.
Fry grease.
Somehow we have from talking about Dame Dash getting his pimp juice leaking to what Hardy smells like. So let's get back on track. What did you think about the Breakfast Club interview?
I thought that shit was hilarious. Yo, when he said he should start a new label called Debt Jam. Yeah,
Bruh.
he's yo, he was frying him the entire time, and he was like, when he thought he could walk away on calling him Count Dumula.
Bruh.
Yeah, yeah. You know what he didn't do? I don't think he did it, but you remember on like any of those like shows where like lawyer shows or anybody who's wearing an expensive suit.
You gotta unbutton it. That's how you know he ain't got no class. That's how you know that nigga has no class. Cause he had that big stretched out here. You saw all the folds, just buttons about to pop out and knock his denture out. Like you got like that's how you know dude ain't got no class. Who sit down with their suit buttoned up? Who does that?
You, cause it's always cause what's it called?
Always.
I was just thinking about that shit. I was like,
Always.
I
No, you know,
said,
you're right. You're right, because there's an etiquette to it. There's
yeah,
an etiquette to wearing a
because
suit.
every time, like, what's it called? Like the new edition story. It was like dude who was when Tank was playing the head of MCA Records. Every time that dude got up, he's buttoning up his jacket. He's like, you better sell some records." It's like every
Yeah,
time he got up, he buttoned
yeah.
up his jacket to walk away.
There's an etiquette to it. Sitting down, open, standing up, close. There's an etiquette to it. Dane walked in there
And just sat his ass down.
and just sat down. Just sat down. Not only that, if memory serves, all his buttons was buttoned.
All of them.
All your buttons? All your gumdrop buttons?
Oh
You walked
Jesus.
in there with that ugly ass, whatever, Pope 3-piece suit and some creased up white Nikes.
Wait, he was wearing Nikes?
I don't know. They were just all white. I'm just assuming they were Air Force Ones.
No, he was wearing Nikes though. Well, he was wearing sneakers.
Yeah, because when Charlamagne said his sneakers was dirty, he took them off to show everybody his sneakers wasn't dirty. Like you always trying to prove something. So how about this? How about you prove that you're a smart businessman and get out of debt?
Because it's like, because the fact that you just go up, because just dude Wayno, he has his own show. He was like, he was wondering when the fuck did it's like when he just said he was the chairman of Revolt. He was like, he said there were Revolt employees wanting to know what the hell was going on, and the head of Revolt had to let all his employees know, hey,
Yeah.
we were talking about doing a deal, but it was never about him ever becoming a chairman.
And he's like, he just wanted to say that he was somebody's boss because he
And
hasn't bossed up in forever.
somebody said, I think it was Wayno. He
My
said, if you
son's
got,
selling cookies. What the hell are you talking about?
I think it was Wayno. He had said, if you got to keep on calling yourself a boss, you're not a boss. Yeah, he was like, yo, you got to keep on calling yourself one. You're not one. It's like the whole thing was so freaking
Bro,
dumb.
same thing. Like I remember I worked when I was selling cars. I worked with like 5 different general managers. Only one kept saying, I'm the general manager. I'm like, nobody asked you. Hey, I just wanted to come and introduce myself. Every other manager, if they did that, hey, I'm one of the managers here, that we're going to put a good deal together for you. I'm the general manager here. Congratulations. We don't care. You gonna get us a deal or not? That's what everybody cared about. She was the only person who ever did that. Only one. Most other managers didn't want people to know there was a general manager. Don't because you want now you want to come to me with all your problems because you know I run everything. Nah, leave me alone. That's how most GMs were when I so called except that one. And
Yeah.
so yeah, you're right. You're like, oh, I'm a boss. I'm a boss. I'm a boss. My son's selling cookies.
Okay. He's just a nigga selling cookies. Shut the fuck up.
Yo, that interview was 10 years ago. I couldn't believe it.
And he's still selling cookies?
No, the son, I think that's the same son that Cam was or that Dame was mad about that went to Cam. Um, yeah, I think that's the same son. Which
Yeah, but
is
he was
Cam had said that he said he hit him up for some money. And so they was like, okay, well, we'll pay you to come on the show. Like, we ain't just gonna give you money for no reason.
yeah. It's like honestly, just watching that is like all you did was show exactly um why nobody
Jay-Z and
fucks
Biggs
with you.
don't talk to.
Yeah, it's like why because because after that interview, we just hearing stories like the Cam wanting to give Dame a mil him and Mace is gonna give him 1 million on the table to get to purchase his third of reasonable doubt. And he was just like, yo, this person's trying to is trying to make a deal for this amount of money, and this person's trying to make a deal for that amount of money. And then when all those deals fell apart, and then he went back to Cam, and Cam was like, "Nah, that deal is off the table." Is not now he wants to use the reverse psychology and say, "Oh, so you can't make moves on your own, so you can't." Say no, you had a guaranteed million on the table, and you wanted to go ahead and get more. It's the nigga that gambles and he gets a $20,000 jackpot, and then he goes back thinking that he gonna hit that shit again. Oh, I can get more, and then
No,
end up
I
losing
wouldn't.
thirty
I wouldn't
k.
even compare him to that because he never got the money. He's the one that was close to hitting the jackpot and was like, "Hey, the next one's gonna hit," and then that one didn't hit,
Yo,
and then the next one
no,
didn't hit, and
now
then the
he
next one didn't hit.
the nigga that's at the blackjack table got 19 and he still want to hit because he think that next card is gonna be a
Oh
deuce.
yeah, oh yeah, certainly. That's who he is. Can I tell? Can I let you in on something that I believe?
What?
He never had no deals on the table. He was trying to say that other people did, so maybe they can come up on their offer. That's
Mm.
what I believe. Because he's holding he literally can get out of all the debt that he has and start fresh. But he wants to hold on to this thing so bad. And he doesn't want Jay-Z specifically to have it so bad. Then this dude said, they was like, hey, you have $600,000 of child support on the bankruptcy. He goes,
Mm.
yeah, that's only 2 months. Like, oh, my child support is paid. It's only 2 months child support. So trying to make it seem like he has a lot of money.
Mm.
And then says, I've been paying $250,000 a year in child support. How is $600,000 2 months worth of child support if you're paying $250,000 a year in child support?
He's a
That
boss. He's a boss that don't know how to do math.
those numbers ain't numbers. That math ain't math. And it's just like sometimes I'm like, I wish I can like be in these people's interviews and just like ask them questions in their ear. Like, hey, ask them this. What are you talking about? So a billionaire with $180 million loan is broke, but you're not broke with $800,000 in debt? You're not broke from filing personal bankruptcy? You like Donald Trump, yeah, he filed a lot of bankruptcies, but they were businesses that filed bankruptcy. That's why he's not known as a good businessman. But I don't recall Donald Trump having a personal debt that he filed for bankruptcy on. I don't have any money. It's all in the family office. He's always just talking about family offices, acting like, and then he's talking to these two other men who have other businesses outside of the radio. And he's like, oh, I bet I make more money than y'all. I bet I do this more. I bet I do that more. You know something crazy? We've never heard Charlemagne owing the IRS a bunch of money. Have you ever heard of anybody paying $25 million in taxes? You haven't. So what are you talking about? No, we haven't. And also you haven't. You have not. That's why they after you, because you haven't paid it. So, and he's getting sued constantly. And so and he's like, yeah, they had to go to all these jurisdictions to file this and that and the other and all this other stuff. Then he's like, oh, you being a chatty patty, but yeah, you airing out some guy's business through your OG. You literally stopped your OG from talking about what he was talking about to tell him or to ask him to talk about somebody else's business. And the OG obliged, which was strange. And the OG was the only person who sounded reasonable out of everybody. I'm like, yeah, no, Dame is a the weird thing is, like, I remember I had a conversation with somebody, and he was saying like entrepreneurs are the ones who take all the risk and should get the most money and this and that and the other, which I don't disagree with them on that. But he said something about employees. He was like, oh, all they want to do is suck up what the entrepreneurs do or built. They just want a piece of that pie. And I'm like, I guess I can understand where you're coming from, but this is an exchange. Like, I can't do everything. So I'm going to pay you to do the stuff that I can't do. So if I owned a grocery store, I can't stock the groceries, be the cashier, run the numbers, be the bank, fill everything, gather the carts. I can't do all of that. So I'm going to pay you to run the register, you to run the money on the back end, you to run customer service, you to run the carts, you to bag the groceries, you to stock the groceries. I'm going to pay you guys for that time. And then I'll collect everything afterwards. I'll collect the profits. So I'm like, I don't understand why you acting like employees aren't valuable. That every single employee is a leech. That's just not, it's just an exchange. So I say that because Dane, who had people who has and had people who's working for him, what do you think that rhetoric of you're not a boss because you work for somebody says about them? Because they work for you. So do you think that they're small because they work for you? Or does that not apply to your employees? You over here calling Charlemagne gay, 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 but you had a lesbian on the show handing out her record. You're saying I don't care about the opinion of girls, but then you ask Lauren LaRosa, would you trust him? Why are you asking for her opinion? Mm-hmm. Why are you asking just for her opinion? If you don't care about the opinion of girls, but then you say, I only keep women around me because men will betray you, but then have a man with you.
He ain't unbuttoned his jacket. What do you expect?
You low class SOB. You low class son of a bitch. That's what I'm saying. That's how you can tell he has no class. Why are you sitting down with your suit jacket buttoned up? Why you have every button buttoned?
Every button.
I need to look at his suit now.
And niggas early on the internet talking about that count that Count Dumula was a fire joke. See, they're the niggas that go on jokes.com.
Oh, for sure. Oh, Dumula. I was like, oh my God, that.
Ray, you thought that saying that to Charlemagne was gonna shut him up. Like, what are we doing here? You thought that you thought when you said that you were like, I got him.
I need to see. I can't get a picture of him standing up. I gotta get the. I gotta go to YouTube and see the real video.
He said Count Dumula
Oh
try to
wow,
walk.
that's man, my phone listening to me. That's the first thing that came up. I went on YouTube and that was the first thing up. I'm like, dang, I watched this shit already.
He tried to walk off. He said, "Yo, I'm gonna hit him with this," and then walk off, and that's gonna be the clip of the year. It just felt like he did that so, like, since folks love looking for views.
He did this to get traction.
Yeah.
Bro, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Hold on. Where am I? Where am I? Hold on. Every button. Every button.
Every
Every button. And this is him getting up. So it was buttoned while he was sitting.
So you already sat down uncomfortable as hell. So you walked in, every button buttoned up, and then you sat down without the proper suit etiquette. I
He need what's that dude with the deep voice? Prof.
uh,
He need him. Matter of fact, I need Prof to make a video about this guy and now he got no etiquette.
say
White
this
sneakers.
suit.
He
Why?
dressed like a
Why?
teenager. He
You
dressed
dress
like
like a teenager.
he
Why?
dressed like a teenager at prom.
Why would you wear white sneakers with that suit? It's like you don't have it pleated, but you have every button buttoned up. It's like
Bruh,
you say you're a boss, but but you dress like a doorman, and a doorman would have more etiquette than you do, Prof.
bruh. This guy, like I said, because and this is somebody who's been, I'm somebody who doesn't like working a job. I've never enjoyed working a job. So I'm like, nah, like you sitting there saying like these people who are making a lot of money to do what they do. He's like, oh, you gotta, I wake up when I want to. Like, I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So these people are providing, and even Cardi B was like, yo, like, what is he talking about? Like, you like talking to Charlamagne, like, you got a lot of good stuff going on. Your house is massive. Your kids' parties are always huge and crazy. Like, what is this? Like, this guy clearly doesn't know anything. Of course, he doesn't know anything. He went on Breakfast Club proving he knows nothing. He don't even know how to wear a suit. In his 50s, dudes in his 50s don't know how to wear a suit. then came in with a taupe colored suit. You're an adult man with a taupe colored suit talking about chatty Cathy's or chatty patties or Krabby Patties, whatever the fuck he talking about, Mr. Krabs looking ass nigga. This dude is insane, man. I do not. I remember I saw him on some other show with some white people, and he started turning up on that joint. I'm like, bro, they weren't even challenging you. Why are you so amped up? Calling people gay and this and the other, and trying to demean them. And guess what? You, the one who's out here looking for handouts, as much of a boss as you are. You, the one who's out here looking for a handout. Nobody else. Nobody else, Dane. You're too old for this.
Oh ass nigga.
Great American philosopher Eminem once said, "Let it go, dog. It's over. Let the masses go. Go into retirement. Live a regular life now. You don't got it no more. And also, you're not somebody who people will tolerate anymore." It's similar to like that NFL player that was really brash, and then all of a sudden, like he's not that good anymore, but he don't know it yet, and so he think he could talk trash and talk crazy. But then Darrell Reeves is calling you a slouch on NFL Network. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, like, yeah, you really not that dude no more. You were in Dane's case 20 years ago, but you really not that dude no more. You gotta humble yourself. Then all of a sudden you out of the league. You running 40s on social media saying showing that you still fast. You know? You running routes. You working on the jugs machine. Like I still got it. And the NFL's looking at all the other guys that have replaced you, all the new yous. Like, yeah, they don't come with the headache. Guess who we gonna deal with? That's all I gotta say on Dane.
Yeah, I'm good.
Dude has no etiquette. He don't know how to wear a suit. 50-some years old. Don't know how to wear a suit. Maybe if he spent more time looking up etiquette versus trying to fight 40 pimps, you might know something. Again, Dame, he's made a lot of money. He's made way more money than I ever have. And so yeah, he's good. He's good, or he was good at what he did. He's not that anymore. So yeah, learn how to wear a suit. That's all I want. That's all I want. That's all I want. Learn how to wear a suit.
You know.
No
Yeah.
etiquette, man. Dude has no etiquette when it comes to anything. Can't talk to people, can't wear a suit, don't know how to sit, don't know how to sell cookies, don't know how to do business with people.
Taking his shoes off in the middle of interviews.
My thing is, like, because he was like saying like how Jay-Z sold out because he had like the S dots and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, like we had our own stuff. And I'm like, owning 100% of nothing means what? And that's why you're clinging to the one thing you still own, and that's the Masters.
Yep. Yeah.
Shout out to Charlemagne. Charlemagne the God. I think half the stuff he says is nonsensical, but shout to him. Shout to him. And again, I love his podcast, the Brilliant Idiots podcast, even though a lot of stuff he says on there is nonsensical as well. But shout to him for maintaining his composure. Dame Dash saying that he would punch him in his face. And you know me, I don't handle threats well. That's why I can't interview people. You know what I'm saying? Because I'd be like, oh, okay, show me. He's like, I'm not going to do it. Then why are you saying it?
Exactly.
I'm not going to. Then why are you saying it? Because you don't know. Now again, Charlemagne is a professional, but like, what if we came across a dude who's like the younger me? As soon as he would have said something, I would have just swung. I'm gonna get you before you get me. You know what I'm saying? Now instead of you got another split dome.
And it wasn't from a pimp cane.
Hi, Dane. That's all we got to say about you. Zero, what's your parting shot?
Congrats to my team getting the 2-1. You should be 3-0, but you are what your record says you are.
Oh, so we're 0-3 for real? Damn.
You know, good goddamn well. No, we're not the Jets, but that's neither here nor there. It's just like stop trying to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Like, it's like, look, the Texans ain't good right now. Don't like. There are a lot of teams that aren't good right now. Don't give them the confidence. It's like, do what it is that you got to do, but stop fucking it up, yo. Especially you, Trevor. Cut it the fuck out. Stop forcing the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. all the goddamn time. So yeah, he had a big catch, had a catch for 64. No, that's like 46 yards. But he still only finished with 2 catches. Come on. Get it together.
Yeah, something's going on with that offense because this ain't making no sense.
It's like it seemed like Trevor is great throwing to everybody else but Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Everybody else is over 100 uh, passer rating except for the two of them. Like throwing the ball at the ground.
Bro, did you see that Marvin Harrison Jr. drop?
Mm,
Bro was wide open. Wide open. Ball is here. He takes his eyes off the ball. Your name is Marvin Harrison. Your name. This is why you're in the league. It's off your name alone. And he turns before he catches the ball and drops the ball. There was nobody, bro. When I say there was nobody within 10 yards of him in any direction, whose footsteps are you hearing?
Dude, man. Don't turn it to Troy Williamson, dog.
Him and Caleb Williams, even though Caleb Williams had a good game today,
Mhm.
embarrassing. Embarrassing so far. Because they were the two most hyped players in that draft. Embarrassing. Anyways, I'm sorry, I cut your
Nah,
part.
that was my partner shot.
My parting shot is learn how to wear a suit, dog. Unbutton the jacket. Unbutton your jacket. Because even when you was sitting down and turning and the vest, the lapels is flaring out. Relax. Unbutton your jacket. You're too uptight. You're too uptight, Dane. Unbutton your jacket. That's all I ask. Unbutton your jacket. This has been the Between Brothers podcast. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. Catch us wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Stay tuned for the next episode and as well as the next episode of Lando Sports Discussions. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.